2026 is not the year that you sit in potential. It's the year you prepare and move like the opportunity is already coming. This is your green light season. Let's talk about why 2026 requires action, not permission. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, educator, best-selling author, school leadership coach, and I help aspiring school leaders confidently land their first leadership role and lead with impact from day one. Today's topic is the green light season, why 2026 requires action, not permission. Now, when I talk about the green light season, what I'm really saying is that you have already made up in your mind that you are going to be a school leader for the 2026-2027 school year. Not that you want to get out of the classroom because you are tired of teaching, not that you are tired of kids. It is because you understand the level of impact that you've been able to make in your classroom, and you want to be able to scale that to a leadership role. You understand, you've been able to get clarity, right, on the fact that you want to be an assistant principal, a supervisor, a dean, whatever the leadership role looks like that you desire. You have gained clarity on that. We have been together long enough for you to know that it's not just going to be about you landing that first leadership role by luck, right? You know that it's about preparation. You've gained the level of clarity that you need to give you the level of speed that you need to get to that next level. So when we talk about the green light season, we're talking about a leadership opportunity that you are seeking, whether it's in your school, whether it's in your district, whether it's in another district. You know, one of the things that I have noticed and what I've learned is that sometimes the people in your district, sometimes the people in your school might perceive you in a particular way that does not translate to you gaining a leadership role. And that's okay, but you cannot be so married to the fact that you are now a tenured teacher that you are afraid to move outside of your district, right? You have to understand that when you move into a leadership role, your tenure is going to start over anyway. Yes, you might have a level of relationships that you have cultivated and developed, but the fact of the matter is that you can develop new relationships. You cannot be afraid to step out on your own sometimes in a different district, in a different area, and serve the kids in the community that actually need you and that actually value you. Sometimes the perceived value that you have in your current district might only be at the level of teacher, and that's fine. But don't be afraid to move on to where you're actually going to be celebrated and appreciated as the school leader that you know that you can be. A promotion you might be looking for the first time in terms of getting that school leadership role. And you might also be looking for a chance to lead initiatives that put you in a position of leader. So when I talk about these things, what I'm saying is that you have to start preparing for the role that you are seeking, right? I have transparently, right? Once I've gained the clarity on the fact that I want to go to the next level, right? When I was a teacher, I wanted to be a school leader. Once I gained clarity, I started to work backward. I started to reverse engineer the goal. So the goal was to be a school leader, and then I started to think about what school leadership entails and how can I get those experiences now that are going to take me to the next level? How am I going to develop those relationships now that are going to take me to the next level? So I want you to think about those things because it could be, I'm hoping that it will be your green light season to where you're getting that first leadership role, you're landing that first leadership role for the following school year, but you know that it's not going to happen by osmosis. It's going to happen by you being clear and by being prepared for where you say that it is that you want to go. So, our 3 keys to make 2026 your green light season. Number 1 is build an interview-ready leadership identity. Aspiring school leaders don't lose interviews because they lack passion or work ethic. The hiring committee already knows that you have that. They already know that you have years of experience as a teacher, but they lose interviews because they sound like strong educators instead of ready leaders. There's a level of shift that you need to be able to make in your language, in your posture, in your disposition that shows that you are going to be a leader and not just, and I don't want to use just, right? Because teaching is a noble position, right? It's a noble profession. What I'm saying is, and I don't want you to hear me as saying this as being condescending at all, right? That wasn't my intention. That's not my intention. I am a teacher at heart. But what I am saying is that you have to start shifting your mindset and your language to leader, your disposition to leader. There's a different way that you show up when you are a leader. You're a problem solver. You're not somebody that's going to have issues and then dump them off to somebody else to solve. You are the problem solver. And so how are you demonstrating that in your interviews? Interview panels are listening for clarity. They're also listening for confidence. They want to know, what do you lead right now? How do you lead? Because that's the projection, right? That's the potential that they're going to hire you from. And what impact have you already made? It's not enough for you to say, when I get into this role, this is what I'm going to do. You have to come with things that you've already done, whether that is in curriculum and instruction, whether that is in classroom management, whether that is in improving data so that you can improve student achievement, whether that is you leading PLCs or professional development. What are the things that you have done so that the interview committee can see, yes, this is the person that we need in our district, not based on solely what they've done, by their disposition of leadership, though, that they're showing us right now as we are interviewing them. In a green light season, you don't wait to be asked who you are as a leader. You decide it, you practice it, and demonstrate it. And you might also experience a shift in your relationships as you start to show up as leader. That's one of the things that I know I experienced, right? It's that shift in, no, I'm not telling everybody what to do, but it's my shift in priorities. I do understand that the leadership role that I am seeking is going to require me to show up in a different way that might rub people the wrong way sometimes. And I'm not saying that you are arrogant. I'm not saying to be condescending, because that's not leadership, and we know that it's not. But what I am saying is that there's a level of confidence that you show up with. There's a level of poise that you show up with, that when there is a problem, you are not just ready to pass it on to the next person. You're thinking about how we can solve the problem together, because that's what you are going to be doing as a school leader. So number one, in terms of our 3 keys to make 2026 your green light season, is build an interview-ready leadership identity. Who are you, and how are you going to demonstrate that in your interview? Number 2, our second key, prepare to lead on day one, not just get hired. So when you are in your interview, right, you want to be able to display the fact that these are the things that I'm going to do once I'm in the role based off what I've already done in the past, right? This is the type of leader that I'm going to be, because you want to be able to portray that to the hiring committee. Promotion doesn't stop at the offer letter. So once you get that offer letter, that's not it, right? That's not the goal. The goal is to do the work to create the transformation that you know that you want to create, that you said that you wanted to create in your interview. How are you going to demonstrate that? Are you coming to the interview, right, with a 30, 60, 90-day plan? Clearly, you are, as an assistant principal, right, as a supervisor, you are collaborating with other people. But what can you do individually? Because you as an individual, your improvement is going to dictate how the team improves. If you are getting better as an individual, if you are implementing new initiatives under the leadership of your principal or your primary supervisor, if you are doing things to improve your leadership, the team gets better. That's ultimately how the team works. How do we function as a team if individuals are not getting better? It just doesn't work that way. So you always have to be thinking about how you can show the progress, demonstrate the progress in your interview to show the type of leader that you're going to be. That means in 2026, you have to start thinking beyond the interview. So now it's time to start thinking, okay, I understand that I need a solid resume. I understand that my cover letter needs to align with what the district is looking for, right? The district's core mission, vision, and values. I understand all of those things. But to take my leadership, to take my interview to the next level, I need to start thinking beyond the interview to demonstrate the leader that I'm going to be. How will you build trust with staff? That might be a question that you are actually asked on an interview. How will you communicate when things get uncomfortable? Trust me, that is going to happen when you are in a leadership role, and you cannot run from it. Nobody likes to deal with confrontation, but there's a way to do it with grace and with poise. And I believe that you cannot help people if you're being condescending to them, right? You can't insult the people that you're trying to help. And so there's a way that you can deal with conflict with grace, and in a way that, yes, it might feel uncomfortable, but you're not demonstrating that when you are having those uncomfortable conversations. And how will you lead instruction with confidence? Because here's the thing about instruction, right? When it comes to being an instructional leader, you have to understand we as individuals don't have experience in every single content area, right? I was a health and physical education teacher, so that gave me one particular area where I know the content area, right? I know the content knowledge in that particular area. But that doesn't mean that I know everything about ELA. It doesn't mean that I know everything about social studies or science, right? Or math, algebra. I don't. Nobody does. But you have to have a level of confidence in instruction and coaching other people to get them to the next level that's ultimately going to improve student achievement. That's the goal. You don't have to know the subject matter for every single subject. But what you do have to know and understand and be confident in is your ability to coach other people, to see the gaps in teaching and learning, and then be a solution, be a resource to collaborate with your teachers so to help them get to the next level in their practice, right? That's what it's about. And then lastly, when interview panels sense that you're already thinking like a day one leader, you immediately separate yourself from the field. So now we have to start transitioning beyond the resume, right? Beyond the interview. Who are we going to be? And we need to start showing up as that person from day one of 2026. So key number 2 was prepare to lead on day one, not just get hired. And our last key, in terms of 3 keys to make 2026 your green light season. Key number 3 is develop confidence through intentional repetition. Intentional repetition. Intentional repetition. Confidence doesn't come from being affirmed. It comes from being practiced. When I talk about having a leadership disposition, I think it's so critical and important. I truly believe that a leadership disposition is the key to your success moving forward. Who are you going to be? How are you going to show up on a daily basis? You have to start doing that right now, right? Regardless of how you feel, you might not have had a great night's sleep last night, but how are you going to show up as a leader? How are you going to find key areas where you can coach your colleagues, right? As a peer, sure, you're not the supervisor, but how can you coach them? How can you reach out to a supervisor and volunteer to do or to run a professional development session? Create a resource for your school right now. Things that you know that you're going to need to add to maybe a portfolio. Those are the things that you need to be strategic about creating now. Yes, the ultimate goal is going to be for you to help your current school, to help your current students. But in that, you can still be building a resume, building a portfolio to separate you from other people. You have to start being strategic in 2026. If you want to be the school leader or a school leader in 2026, 2027, you need to be thinking about how you can create these opportunities right now, because it's not going to come. That promotion, that leap in your first school leadership role is not going to come because somebody is going to tap you on the shoulder. If they do tap you on the shoulder, it's going to be because of the things that you are doing right now, the level of leadership that you have demonstrated, so they can see, yes, we need this person. Aspiring school leaders stay stuck sometimes because they're waiting for validation, perfect timing, or permission. Sometimes in our minds, there's a perceived gatekeeper, and we think that they are the person that needs to tap us on the shoulder. They are the ones that need to give us the stamp of approval to say, yep, you are ready. That's not true, right? Yes, gatekeepers exist, but sometimes you have to start thinking beyond the gatekeeper. You have to start developing the relationships that you need to take you to the next level, that go beyond the person that you have created in your mind that's going to give you the stamp of approval, right? Take your power back. Green light leaders train their confidence. Confidence is a muscle, and it is to be trained, and you have to train it daily. That means practicing your leadership story out loud, rehearsing interview responses, and consistently putting yourself in spaces and places where leadership is expected, where leaders are. There are a bunch of communities on social media that you should be a part of, right? You can find a lot of educators who are doing great work, school leaders who are doing amazing work on X, right? Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. There are so many things that you can learn from other people, and you need to put yourself in the room. Go to these national conferences so that you can start learning from people who are doing things outside of the box, who are thinking differently than you and then your primary leader, right? You need to start connecting with people who are doing things and who are where you want to be. So today we talked about 3 keys to make 2026 your green light season. Number 1 was build an interview-ready leadership identity. Number 2, prepare to lead on day 1, not just get hired. And key number 3 was develop confidence through intentional repetition. So let me leave you with this. 2026 is not about hoping someone notices you. It's about positioning yourself so when the opportunity comes, because that opportunity is coming, the decision feels obvious. If you're an aspiring school leader and you know that this is your year, you truly believe that you're ready to make that leap, you are preparing intentionally, you are gaining or thinking about your leadership story, you're starting to look at different districts because you know that in the spring, that's mainly when people are doing their hiring. And you might need additional support though, right? Some of you have even reached out and said, yes, you've gained so much value from these episodes, from the Aspiring School Leader podcast, that you have been able to land your first leadership role. But others of you have also reached out, and we've talked about interview prep. We've talked about working together one-on-one so that you can start to anticipate some of the interview questions that you are going to get. So you can work through some of the areas where you have stumbled in the past as it relates to school, your interviews, right? And so if that's you, reach out. Let's have a conversation so that we can get you to where you want to be in 2026. You want that first school leadership role. It's going to take some strategy. It's going to take sometimes you bouncing ideas off of someone else. You actually hearing from someone who is a current school leader, right? Sometimes it gives you a different perspective when somebody's an actual school leader and you're working with them versus somebody who's not. Maybe that's what you need. And if that's you, reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's get you to where you want to be. That's interview ready. That's landing that first leadership role in 2026. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.